And we say all these words. And I think that's honest. And I think God's, he's a big guy. He can feel that. He can take that. But you see, God is in control. We're not. He has the big picture in mind. We don't. Nor can we. Crucial for us to understand. Now, in today's Bible study, we're going to see a picture of tragedy. And we're going to be able to see, and I want you to think about this as we go through it. See the big picture, God's perspective, and see the small picture, us in it. You'll see God's perspective, and you'll see human perspective within this story. There's going to be 4 things that I want to point out through this story that I want us to consider. Because I think a lot of times, when I can't figure out something, and I don't know why God's doing something, a lot of times I've heard it said to me, Todd, don't concentrate on what you don't know, but be reminded of what you do know about God. You might not figure that out about God. Why did he let that happen? But go back to what you do know about God. Note takers, you can take it down. Number 1, God is omniscient. What does that mean? God is all-knowing. He knows everything. He's on time, perfectly on time. He knows all things. He's all wise. Number 1, God is omniscient. He's sovereign. He's in control. Number 2, God is salvation. You know, the term Jesus is the word Yeshua, which means God is salvation. We're going to see that in our story today. And remember, you and I focus a lot of times on the earthly, on the temporal, on right now. This occurred right now. God is worried more about your salvation and your soul, eternity, than he is about your comfortability. Remember that. That's going to help you out a lot. God is salvation. Number 3, God is love. God is love. He's compassionate. He's caring. Through the trial, we're going to see that Jesus wept. He was fully human. He had full human emotion. God is love. And finally, God is omnipotent. What does that mean? God's all-powerful. And we're going to see that as he raises Lazarus from the dead. He's all-powerful. He's in control. So consider those things, and we'll cruise through here, and we'll look at it in the text. John chapter 11. Some of you guys are very familiar with this passage, but let's ask God to bring up some more truth to it as we go through it. John chapter 11, starting in verse 1. Now, a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore, the sisters sent to him. You know, they didn't text him or email him. They sent to him, probably Pony Express, right? They sent them this message, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha, see, there it is, and her sister and Lazarus. So, when he heard that he was sick, he went there immediately. No, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, lately the Jews, they're going to stone you, and you're going to go back there again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he doesn't stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if one walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. These things he said, and after that he said to them, our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go that I may wake him up. His disciples said, Lord, if he sleeps, he'll get well. Don't go wake him up, man. He's sleeping. He's sick. However, Jesus spoke of his death. But they thought he was speaking about taking rest and sleep. Verse 14, then Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead. See, these guys couldn't figure it out a lot. Verse 15, and I'm glad for your sake that I wasn't there, that you may believe. Nevertheless, let us go to him. Verse 16, then Thomas, who is called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. I love Thomas. Pause right there. Go back to verse 1. A certain man was sick. Now, we don't know what the sickness was, but it had to be something pretty tragic. He didn't have the flu. He didn't have a cold. They are begging Jesus to come heal him. It could have been cancer. It could have been some nasty disease. Who knows what it was? But like I said in here, all of us have someone in our life, or we've had someone in our life that was either physically or spiritually sick. I mentioned to you this man that I spoke with that had this daughter that died prematurely. I mentioned to you in our fellowship, we have cancer, we have battles going on all over the place. Very practical. Verse 3, it says that he whom you love is sick. I love that about Jesus. You know, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, they lived in this town of Bethany. It was about, a couple miles to the east of Jerusalem. And that was kind of like his home away from home. You guys have that? We had that in Florida. We had, when we went down there to live, this family kind of adopted us, basically. And we had in them a mom and a dad away from home. And it was great. Like after church, they'd invite us over for a meal and we'd hang out together. You know, that's the kind of relationship Jesus had with Mary and Martha and Lazarus. You know, this family even invited us up to their home in North Carolina, spent some good time with them. You guys have that. This is the kind of relationship he had. Verse 4 says, this sickness, though, is not unto death, but is for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. You guys remember a couple weeks ago, we went through a Bible study, that was entitled, Your Infirmity Equals God's Opportunity. Remember that one? That's what he's saying right here. This sickness it's not unto death, but it's going to be used for the glory of God. There was purpose behind it. Have you ever considered that the trial, the sickness, the death, whatever it is, could be the very thing that is used by God for huge eternal perspective? Very possible. I've done funerals where there's a group of people. In fact, let me just give you one. I was in Boca Raton. I got called to do a funeral for a 23-year-old kid who had overdosed on drugs. Went to this funeral home. It was a rainy night. It was like a Wednesday, 7 p.m. And this huge group of people showed up that I guarantee you they wouldn't show up at church. And through that process, God gave me the ability to share the truth about eternity and where they're going after they step into eternity. And by God's grace, people committed their lives to Christ at a funeral. This sickness was for the glory of God. God uses tragedy for his opportunity many times. Now, verse 6 says, he stayed 2 more days. So he gets the Pony Express message from Mary and Martha. Lazarus is sick. Come on now. You got to come now. That was their timetable, right? You got to come now and heal him now. Jesus, because he loved him so much, I'm going to stay a couple days. What? That's what happens to you and I, doesn't it? Something's going on in our life. Lord, come on, you got to come now. Show up now. It's like you're sending them a text message, and when you send a text message to someone and you don't get any response, you're like, sweet dude. God, what are you doing? I'm praying to you. Where are you at? I get discouraged. Where's God? He's nowhere to be found. Oh, he's somewhere to be found. But he's got a bigger plan in mind. He's got something different. Right? Let me just say, and you can write this down. God is always on time. Now, he's on his time schedule. He's not on yours. My time schedule, don't let me feel this pain. Get me out of this financial burden. Now! God is always on time. Some of you in here have people in your life that are spiritually dead. They are separated from Christ on their way to hell. And you've been praying for them for years. and you're giving up.